ಸಂಸಾರದವ ನಲಲಿದ ಲೋಕ ತ್ರನಾಯ ಕಾರುಣ್ಯ ಗಣ ಗಣಾತ್ವಂ ಪ್ರಾಪ್ತಸ್ಯ ಕಲ್ಯಾಣ ಗುಣಾರ್ಣವಸ್ಯ ವಂದೇ ಗುರೋ ಶ್ರೀ ಚರಣರವಿಂದಂ महाप्रभु कीर्तन नृत्य गीता वादित्रमाद्यान् मनसोर सेना रोमाञ्चकम्पा श्रुतरङ्गबाजो वन्दे गुरो श्री चरणरविन्दम् श्रीविग्रहाराधन नित्यानाना शृङ्गारतनमन्दिरमर्जनादो युक्तस्य भक्तां शनियुञ्जतोऽपि वन्दे गुरो श्री चरणरविन्दम् चतुर्वेदा श्री भगवत्प्रसादो स्वादन्न तृप्तान् हरिभक्त संगान् कृत्वैव तृप्तिं भजत सदैव वन्दे गुरो श्री चरणरविन्दम् श्रीराधिका माधवयोरपारा माधुर्यलीला गुणरूपनाम्ना प्रतीक्षणा स्वादनलोलुपस्य वन्दे गुरो श्री चरणरविन्दम् निकुञ्जयूनो रतिकेलिसिद्ध्यै जयालिबेर्युक्तेरापेक्षणीया तत्रातिदक्षादतिवल्लभस्य वन्दे गुरो श्री चरणरविन्दम् साक्षादरित्वेन समस्तशास्त्रे उक्तस्तथा भाव्यत एव सद्भिः तस्य वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणरविन्दम् यस्य प्रसादात् भगवत् प्रसादो यस्य प्रसादात् न गति कुतोऽपि ध्यायान्तु वांस्तस्य यस्य स्त्रीसन्ध्यं वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणरविन्दम् ध्यायान्तु वांस्तस्य यस्य स्त्रीसन्ध्यं वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणरविन्दम् नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पश्यत्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Nila Madhav, Radha Nila Madhav, Shri Radhe. Jaya Radha Nila Madhav, Radha Nila Madhav, Shri Radhe. जय जगन्नाथ जय बलदेवा जय सुभद्रमा जय सुदर्शन चक्र जय सीताराम जय सीताराम जय सीताराम जय लक्ष्मण हनुमान जय लक्ष्मी नरसिंह जय लक्ष्मी नरसिंह जय लक्ष्मी नरसिंह जय लक्ष्मी नरसिंह जय गौरनिताय 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 जय गौरनिताय जय प्रभुपद शिला प्रभुपद जय प्रभुपद शिला प्रभुपद जय गुरुदेवा जय गुरुदेवा जय गुरुदेवा जय गुरुदेवा नेता गौर हरि बोल नेता गौर हरि बोल
Jai Om Shunipad Brahman Sapadaka Chaya Shtota Shata Shishmat His Divine Grace Abarachana Rinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Ki Jai His Kong BPD BI Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Om Shunipad Brahman Sapadaka Chaya Shtota Shata Shishmat His Divine Grace Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Nama Acharya Srila Haridasa Thakur Ki Jai Premise Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shadeta Dadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Ki Jai Shishi Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Gili Govardhan Ki Jai Shri Vrajabhumi Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Shri Navadvip Mayapur Dham Ki Jai Shri Purushottam Chetar Jagannathpuri Dham Ki Jai Shri Ayodhya Dham Ki Jai Ganga Mai Ki Jai Yamuna Mai Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Samavrita Bhaktavinda Ki Jai Shri Paimi Akadashi Ki Jai, Akadashi Vrata Ki Jai, Harinama Sankirtana Ki Jai, Nitai Gaura Premanande Hari. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Namaste Narasimhaya. Prahlada Lada Daine. Hiranya Kashi Purvakshaha. Shilatanka Nakalahai Ito Nasimha Parato Nasimha Yato Yato Yami Tato Nasimha Bahir Nasimha, Hidahe Nasimha, नरसिंहम् अदिं शरणं पप्रपदे तव करकमलपरे नाकाम् अबुधशृङ्गा दलिता हिरण्यकशिपु तनवेङ्गा केशवदीता नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे कमलवरे नाकाम् अबुधशृङ्गाम् ललिता हिरण्यकशिपु तनभृङ्गा केशवदीता नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जयो केशवदीता नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे केशवदीता नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव जय भक्त प्रहलाद जय भक्त प्रहलाद जय भक्त प्रहलाद जय प्रहलाद महाराज जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय गुरुदेव 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 जय जय गुरुदेव
वृंदाय तुलसीदेवाय प्रियाय केशवस्य च विष्णु भक्तिपदे देवी सत्यवत्याय नमो नमः
वृंदाय तुलसीदेवाय प्रियाय केशवस्य च
वृंदाय तुलसीदेवाय प्रियाय केशवस्य च विष्णु भक्तिपदे देवी सत्यवत्याय नमो नमः
वृंदाय तुलसीदेवाय प्रियाय केशवस्य च
वृंदाय तुलसीदेवाय प्रियाय केशवस्य च विष्णु भक्तिपदे देवी सत्यवत्याय नमो नमः
वृंदाय तुलसीदेवाय प्रियाय केशवस्य च
वृंदा देवी तुलसी महारानी की जय
नमो नमः तुलसी कृष्ण प्रेयसी नमो नमः तुलसी कृष्ण प्रेयसी नमो नमः। राधा कृष्ण सेवा पावो हे अभिलाषी। राधा कृष्ण सेवा पावो हे अभिलाषी। जे तुम्हारा शरण लोय तारा वंश पूर्ण होय। कृपा कोरी करो तारे वृंदावन वासी। मोरा ये अभिलाष विलास कुंज दियो वास। नयने हेरिबो सदा युगल रूपरासी। हे निवेदन दारो सकीर दुगाता करो। सेवाधिकारा दिए करो निज दासी। दीना कृष्ण दासे कोई न मोरा होय। श्री राधा गोविंद प्रेमे सदा ये न बासी। श्री राधा गोविंद प्रेमे सदा ये न बासी। यानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्महत्यादिकानि च तानि तानि प्रणश्यन्ति प्रदक्षिण पादे पदे। यानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्महत्यादिकानि च pade pade. यानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्महत्यादिकानि च तानि तानि प्रणशन्ति प्रदक्षिणा पदे पदे. यानि कानि च पापानि ब्रह्महत्यादिकानि च तानि तानि प्रणशन्ति प्रदक्षिणा पदे पदे. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Tulsi Maharani, Jaya Tulsi Maharani, Jaya Tulsi Maharani, Jaya Tulsi Maharani. Jaya Vrinde Devi, Jaya Vrinde Devi, Jaya Vrinde Devi, Jaya Vrinda Devi. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. भक्ति देवी तुलसी महारानी की जय. श्री वृंदाये तुलसी देव्याय प्रियाय केशवस्य च विष्णु भक्ति प्रदे देवी सत्यवताय नमो नमः. श्री वृंदाये तुलसी देव्याय प्रियाय केशवस्य च विष्णु भक्ति प्रदे देवी सत्यवताय नमो नमः. श्री वृंदाये तुलसी देव्याय प्रियाय केशवस्य च विष्णु भक्ति प्रदे देवी सत्यवताय नमो नमः. वृंदा देवी तुलसी महारानी की जय.
Oh, Tulasi, beloved Krishna, I bow down before you again and again. My desire to serve Shri Radha and Krishna. I will take shelter of you as the wishes fulfilled. My desire is also grant me residence in the precious groves of Shiva and Vrindavan Dham. Thus, within my vision, I shall always behold the beautiful paths of Radha and Krishna. I beg you to make me follow or Karha Danso's virgin. Please give me the privilege devotional service and make me your own maidservant. This very fallen and lowly servant of Krishna prays. May I always swim in the love, Shri Radha and Govinda. Srimati Tulsi Maharani ki jai. So just a reminder that today is Ekadashi, and we're also fasting half day because we need to break the fast tomorrow. Tomorrow is sort of Rahadev. Hare Krishna. There are 10 offenses in matter chanting holy names should be avoided, and they are as follows. 1. To blaspheme the devotees for dedicating the life for propagating the holy name of the Lord. 2. To consider the name of the demigods like Lord Shiva or Brahma to be equal to independent name Lord Vishnu. 3. To disobey the order of the spiritual master. 4. To blaspheme the Vedic literature or literature pursuing Vedic version. 5. To consider glorious chanting Hare Krishna to be imagination. 6. To give some interpretation of the holy name of the Lord. 7. To commit sinful activity and strength to chanting holy name. 8. To consider chanting Hare Krishna one of the auspicious ritualistic activities, offering the Vedas fruity activities, karma, ganda. 9. To instruct a faces present about the glorious holy name. 10. To not complete faith in the chanting holy names, and to maintain material attachments even after studying so many instructions on this matter. It is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. Every devotee who claims to Vaishnava must carefully guard against these 10 offenses in order to quickly achieve desired success. Krishna Prema. Now let us offer our most humble obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. They are just as I treat who can fulfill to everyone, and the full of compassion for the fallen conditioned soul. Shri Chaitanya Shikshastakam ki jai. Jeto Darpana Marjanam Pavamahadavakni Nirvapanam Shriya Kairava Chantrika Vitaranam Vidyavatu Jivanam Anandam Buddhivardhanam Pratipadam Purunarmida Swadanam Sarvatmasnapanam Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam Nam Namakari Bahuda Nija Sarva Shaktis Tatra Pita Niyamita Smaranena Kalaha Etadishi Davakripa Bhagavam Mamapi Durudevami Disham Iha Janina Nurakaha Trinatapi Sunichena Tarorapi Sahishnuna Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sada Harihi Na Thanam Na Janam Na Sundarim Kavitam Vajagadisha Kamaye Mama Jammani Jammanishvare Bhavatat Bhaktir Haituki Tavayi Ainanda Tanuja Kinkaram Patitam Ham Vishame Bhavam Pudo Kripaya Tava Pada Pankaja Sthita Thuli Satisham Vichintaya Nayanam Galata Shrutaraya Vatanam Katkata Rudaya Kira Pulakai Nichitam Vapurkata Tava Nama Grahane Bhavishati Yuga itam nimishena chakshusha pravisha itam shunya itam jagat sarvam govinda virahe name ashrisha va padaratam pinnashtumam atarshanam marmahatam karotu va yatha tatha va vitathatu lampato matprana nathastu se eva na paraha Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shri Chaitanya Shikshastakam ki jai. Glory to Shri Krishna Sankirtana, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life for repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction of humanity at large, because expresses there is a benediction moon. It's the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean transcendental bliss and enables us to fully taste the nectar for which always anxious. Oh my Lord, your holy name alone grants all benediction to human beings. Thus you have hundreds of millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, they invested all your transcendental energies. They are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. Oh my Lord, our kindness enables us to easily approach you by your holy names, but I'm so unfortunate and have no attraction for them. One should chant the holy name of the Lord in humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and shall be ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth. nor to desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service, birth after birth. O son of Mahananda Krishna, I'm an eternal servitor, yet somehow I fall in the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me at one Adam's lotus feet. Oh my Lord, while my eyes spectacular tears of love flowing constantly when I chant the holy name, while my voice choke up or hairs of my body stand end to recitation of your name. Oh Govinda, feeling your separation, I'm considered a moment to be like a great millennium. Tears are flowing from eyes like torrents of rain, and I'm feeling all vacant in the world in your absence. I know no one but Krishna as my Lord, and he shall remain so even if he handles me roughly by his embrace, or makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything, everything, for he is always my worshipable Lord, unconditionally. Shri Chaitanya Shikshastakam ki jai. Shri Mangala Charana prayers ki jai. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshum Litam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Ragnatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadhuitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakham Vitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pachatya Desha Tarine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Iti Namine Shri Varsha Bhanavi Devi Daitaya Kripaptaye Krishna Sambandha Vijnana Daine Prabhavin Namaha Madhuryo Jala Premadya Shri Rupa Nuka Bhaktita Shri Gaura Karuna Shakti Vigrahaya Namostute Namaste Gauravani Shri Mutaye Dina Tarine Rupa Nuka Virudapa Siddhanta Dvanta Harine Namo Gaura Kishoraya Sakshat Vairagya Mutaye Vipalambara Sambodhe Padam Pujayate Namaha Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Sachidananda Namine Gaura Shakti Swarupaya Rupanuga Varayate Gaura Virbhava Bhumistvam Nirdishta Sajanapriyaha Vaishnava Sarabhama Shri Jaganathaya Te Namaha Vancha Kalpatarubhishcha Kripa Sindhu Bhevacha Patitanam Pavnebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Padayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaurati Shin Namaha Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakham Namami Bhakta Shaktikam He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagapate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Jayatam Suratoro Pangor Mamamandar Mater Gati Masarva Swapadam Bojo Radha Madana Mohano Divya Vindadana Kalpadumada Shimadra Nagara Singhasanasto Shrimad Radha Shila Govinda Devo Prishtaribi Sevyamano Smarami Shriman Rasa Rasarambi Vamsi Vata Tatastitaha Karshang Venu Soner Gopir Gopinatha Shriyestunaha Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavanishwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Panamami Hari Priye Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Shri Mangala Charana prayers ki jai. Shri Brahma Samhita ki jai. Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha Anadyaradya Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam Chintamani Parakara Satmasukalpa Viksha Rakshariteshu Surabi Rabi Palayantam Lakshmi Sahasa Shatasam Brahmasevyamanam Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. I Venum Kavanantam Aravinda Dalayaksham Parharvatam Samasitam Buddha Sundarangam Gandarpa Koti Kamaniya Vishesha Shobham Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Alola Chantakala Savanamada Vamshi Ranangadam Pranayakeli Kalavilasam Shamam Tripanga Laritam Yata Prakasham Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Angani Yasa Sakalindriya Vrittimanti Pashanti Panti Karayanti Chiram Jaganti Ananda Chimma Satujila Vigrahasya Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Advaitam Achotam Anadim Ananta Rupam Adyam Purana Purusham Navayovanam Cha Vedesho Durlabam Adurlabam Atma Bhakta Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Pantastu Koti Shatavassara Sampragamyo Vayuratapi Manaso Muni Pangavanam Sopiasti Yapapada Simya Vichinta Tatve Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Ekopya Sara Chayitum Jagatanta Kotim Yashakti Rasti Jagatanta Chayaya Dantaha Antantarastha Paramanu Chayantarastham Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Yad Bhava Pavitadiyo Manuchasta Teva Samprapya Rupa Mahima Sanayana Pushaha Suktayam Eva Nigama Patitai Stuvanti Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Ananda Chimmerasa Patipavitapis Tapya Evan Jarupa Tayakalapihi Goloka Eva Nivasatya Kilatma Bhuto Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Premanjana Churuta Bhakti Vilochanena Santa Sateva Hidayeshu Vilokayanti Yam Shama Sundam Achintya Guna Swarupam Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Ramadi Murtishu Kala Niyamena Tishtan Nanavatarama Karo Bhuvaneshu Kintu Krishna Swayam Samabhavat Parama Pumamyo Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Krishna, who is Govinda, the Supreme Godhead, he has an eternal blissful spiritual body. He is the origin of all. He has no other origin and is the prime cause of all causes.
I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, the first progenitor who is tending the cows, yielding all desire in abodes built with spiritual gems, surrounded by millions of purpose trees, always served with great reverence and affection by hundreds of thousands of Lakshmis or Gopis. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is adept in playing on his flute with blooming eyes like lotus petals, with head decked with peacocks, with the figure of beauty tinged with the hue of blue clouds, and his unique loveliness charming millions of cupids. I worship
Govinda, the primeval Lord, round whose neck is swinging a garland of flowers, beautified with the moon locket, whose two hands are adorned with the flute and jeweled ornaments, who always revels in pastimes of love, whose graceful threefold bending form of Shyamasundara is eternally manifest.
I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, whose transcendental form is full of bliss, truth, substantiality, and is thus full of the most dazzling splendor. Each of the limbs of that transcendental figure possesses in himself the full-fledged functions of all the organs, and internally sees, maintains, and manifests the infinite universes, both spiritual and mundane.
I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is inaccessible to the Vedas but obtainable by pure unalloyed devotion of the soul, who is without a second, who is not subject to decay, is without a beginning, whose form is endless, who is the beginning and the eternal Purusha, yet he is a person possessing the beauty of blooming youth.
I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, only the tip of the toe of whose lotus feet is approached by the yogis, who aspire after the transcendental and betake themselves to pranayama by drilling their respiration, or by the jnanis who try to find out the non-differentiated Brahman by the process of elimination of the mundane, extending over thousands of millions of years.
He is an undifferentiated entity, as there is no distinction between potency and the possessor thereof. In his work of creation of millions of worlds, his potency remains inseparable. All the universes exist in him, and he is present in his fullness in every one of the atoms that are scattered throughout the universe, one at one at the same time. Such is the primeval Lord whom I adore.
I adore the same Govinda, the primeval Lord, in whose praise men, who are imbued with devotion, sing the mantra suktas told by the Vedas by gaining their appropriate beauty, greatness, thrones, conveyances, and ornaments.
I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, residing in his own realm, Goloka, with Radha, resembling his own spiritual figure, the embodiment of the ecstatic potency possessed of the 64 artistic activities, in the company of her confidants, Sakis, embodiments of the extensions of her bodily form, permeated and vitalized by his ever blissful spiritual rasa.
I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is the Shyamasundar, Krishna himself, with inconceivable, innumerable attributes, whom the pure devotees see in their heart of hearts with the eye of devotion tinged with the salve of love.
Manifested himself personally as Krishna at the different avatars in the world in the forms of Rama, Narasimha, Vamana, etc. as a subjective portion.
Sri Brahma Samhita ki jai. Bhagavad Gita 7.1 Purport Srinvatam Swakata Krishna Punya Sravana Kirtanaha Hridayanta Histohi Abhadra Surutsatam Nasta Prayesva Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Sloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki Tada Rajastamu Bhava Kama Lobhazayaschaye Hiter anavidam stitam satve prasidati evam prasanna manaso bhagavad bhakti yogataha bhagavad tattva vijnanam mukta sangasya jayati vidyate hrudaya granteschadyante sarva samsayaha chiyante chasya karmani drushta evatmanishvare.
To hear about Krishna from Vedic literatures or to hear from him directly through the Bhagavad Gita is itself righteous activity. And for one who hears about Krishna, Lord Krishna, who is dwelling in everyone's heart, acts as a best wishing friend and purifies the devotee who constantly engages in hearing of him.
In this way, a devotee naturally develops his dormant transcendental knowledge as he hears more about Krishna from the Bhagavatam and from the devotees. He becomes fixed in the devotional service of the Lord.
By development of devotional service, one becomes freed from the modes of passion and ignorance, and thus material lust and avarice are diminished.
When these impurities are wiped away, the candidate remains steady in his position of pure goodness, becomes enlivened by devotional service, and understands the science of God perfectly.
Thus, Bhakti Yoga severs the hard knot of material affection and enables one to come at once to the stage of asamshayam, samagram, understanding of the supreme absolute truth, personality of God. Therefore, only by hearing from Krishna or from his devotee in Krishna consciousness can one understand the science of Krishna.
Hare Krishna. We'll continue reading Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 7, Text 4. Askrasit Bhagavan Vishwam Gunamayatma Mayaya Taya Samstapayati Etad Bhuya Pratyapi Dasyati. Askrasit, cause to create. Bhagavan, the personality of Godhead. Vishwam, the universe. Gunamaya, endowed with three modes of material nature. Atma, self. Mayaya, by the potency. Taya, by her. Samstapayati, maintains. Etat, all these. Bhuya, then again. Prati apa api dasyati, conversely dissolves also. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. By his self-sheltered potency of the three modes of material nature, the Lord has caused the creation of this universe. By her he maintains the creation and conversely dissolves it again and again. Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. This cosmic universe is created by the Lord for those living entities who are carried away by the illusory thought of becoming one with Him by imitation. The three modes of material nature are for the further bewilderment of the conditioned souls. The conditioned living entity, bewildered by the illusory energy, considers himself a part of the material creation due to forgetfulness of his spiritual identity. And thus he becomes entangled in material activities life after life. This material world is not for the purpose of the Lord himself, but is for the conditioned souls who wanted to be controllers due to misuse of their God gifted minute independence. Thus, the conditioned souls are subjected to repeated birth and death.
Srimad Bhagavatam 3.7.5 Desatha kalo yasava avastata swatonyata avilupthava baddhatma sayujetma katam. Desatha, circumstantial. Kala tha, by the influence of time. Ya, one who. Asau, the living entity. Avasthatha, by situation. Swatha, by dream. Anyatha, by others. Avilputha, aviluptha, extinct. Avabuddha, consciousness. Atma, pure self. Sa, he. Yujveta, engaged. Ajaya, with nescience. Katham, how is it so? Translation. The pure soul is pure consciousness and is never out of consciousness, either due to circumstances, time, situations, dreams, or other causes. How then does he become engaged in nescience? Purport. The consciousness of the living being is always present and never changes under any circumstances as mentioned above. When a living man moves from one place to another, he is conscious that he has changed his position. He is always present in the past, present, and future, like electricity. One can remember incidents from his past and can conjecture about his future also on the basis of past experience. He never forgets his personal identity, even though he is placed in awkward circumstances. How then the living entity become forgetful of his real identity as pure spirit soul and identity with matter unless influenced by something beyond himself? The conclusion is that the living entity is influenced by the avidya potency as confirmed in both Vishnu Purana and the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam. The living entity is mentioned in Bhagavad Gita 7.5 as Paraprakriti, and in the Vishnu Purana he is mentioned as Parashakti. He is part and parcel of the Supreme Lord as potency, not as a potent. The potent can exhibit many potencies, but the potency cannot equal the potent at any stage. One potency may be overcome by another potency, but to the potent, all potencies are under control. The Jiva potency or the Kshetrajna Shakti of the Lord has the tendency to be overpowered by the external potency, Avidya Karma Samjna, and in this way, he is placed in the awkward circumstances of material existence. The living entity cannot be forgetful of his real identity unless influenced by the avidya potency, because the living entity is prone to the influence of avidya potency. He can never equal the supreme potent.
Canto 3, Chapter 7, Text 6. Bhagavan eka evaisha sarva kshetreshva avastitah amusya durbhagatvam va klesho va karma bhikutah. Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, ekaha, alone, eva, eshaha, all these, sarva, all, kshetreshu, in the living entities, avastitaha, situated, amusya, of the living entities, durbhagatvam, misfortune, va, either, kleshaha, miseries, va, or, karma bihi, by activities, kutaha, what for? Translation. The Lord, as the super soul, is situated in every living being's heart. Why, when do the living entities, activities result in misfortune and misery? Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The next question put forward by Vidura to Maitreya is, Why are the living entities subjected to so many miseries and misfortunes in spite of the Lord's presence in their hearts as the supersoul? The body is considered a fruitful tree, and the living entity and the Lord as supersoul are like two birds seated in that tree. The individual soul is eating the fruit of the tree, but the supersoul, the Lord, is witnessing the activities of the other bird. A citizen of the state may be in miseries for want of sufficient supervision by the state authority. But how can it be possible that a citizen suffers from other citizens while the chief of the state is personally present? From another point of view, it is understood that the Jiva, living entity, is qualitatively one with the Lord, and thus his knowledge is the pure state of life, cannot be covered by nescience, especially in the presence of the Supreme Lord. How then does the living entity become subjected to ignorance and covered by the influence of Maya? The Lord is the Father and Protector of every living entity, and He is known as the Bhutabhrit, or the maintainer of the living entities. Why then should the living entity be subjected to so many sufferings and misfortunes? It should not be so, but actually, we see that it happens everywhere. This question is therefore put forward by Vidura for solution.
Text 7. Etasmin me एतस्मिन् मे मनो विद्वान् खिद्यते ज्ञानशङ्कते तन्नः परानुतविभो कश्मलं मानसं महत् एतस्मिन् in this my mana mind vidvan, O learned one. Kidyate is troubling. Ajnana, nescience. Sankate, in distress. Tat, therefore, my. Paranuda, clear up. Vibho, O great one. Kashmalam, illusion. Manasam, relating to the mind. Mahat, great. Translation. O great and learned one, my mind is greatly illusioned by the distress of this science, and I therefore request you to clear it up. Purport. Such mental bewilderment as represented by here Vidura takes place for some living entities, but not for everyone. For if everyone were bewildered, there would be no possibility of a solution by higher personalities.
Shrisuko Vacha Saitam Chodita Kshatra Tattva Jnanasuna Muni Jignasuna Muni Pratyaha Bhagavachita Smayan Ivagata Smaya. Sri Sukovacha, Sri Sukadeva Goswami said, Sir, he, Maitreya Muni, Uttam, in this way, Chodita, being agitated, Kshatra, by Vidra, Tattva Jignasuna, by one who is anxious to inquire, to know the truth. Muni, the great sage, Pratyaha, replied, Bhagavad Chitta, God consciousness, God conscious, Smayam, wondering, Iva, as if, Gata Smaya, without hesitation. Translation. Sri Sukadeva Goswami said, O King Maitreya, being thus agitated by the inquisitive Vidura, at first seemed astonished, but then he replied to him without hesitation, since he was fully God conscious. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Since the great sage Maitreya was filled with God consciousness, he He had no reason to be astonished at such contradictory questions by Vidura. Therefore, although as a devotee he externally expressed surprise, as if he did not know how to reply to these questions, he immediately became perfectly settled and properly replied to Vidura. Yasmin vijnate sarvam vijnate sarvam evam vijnatam bhavati. Anyone who is a devotee of the Lord knows about the Lord to some extent, and devotional service to the Lord makes him able to know everything by the grace of the Lord. Although a devotee may apparently express himself to be ignorant, he is full of knowledge in every intricate matter.
Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 7, Text 9. Maitreya Uvacha Seyam Bhagavato Maya Yannayena Viruddhyate Ishwarasya Vimuktasya Karpanyam Uta Bandhanam. Maitreya Uvacha, Maitreya said, Sa Iyam, such a statement, Bhagavataha, of the personality of Godhead, Maya, illusion, Yat, that which, Nayena, by logic, Viruddhyate, becomes contradictory, Ishwarasya, of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vimuktasya, of the ever liberated, Karpanyam, insufficiency, Uta, as also. What to speak of? Bandhanam, bondage. Translation by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Sri Maitreya said, certain conditioned souls put forward the theory that the Supreme Brahman or the personality of Godhead is overcome by illusion or Maya, and at the same time they maintain that he is unconditioned. This is against all logic. Purport by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Sometimes it appears that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is 100% spiritual, cannot be the cause of the illusory potency which covers the knowledge of the individual soul. But factually, there is no doubt that the illusory external energy is also part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. When Vyasadeva realized the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he saw the Lord along with his external potency, which covers the pure knowledge of the individual living entities. Why the external energy acts in this way may be considered as follows, as analyzed by great commentators like Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakura and Srila Jiva Goswami. Although the material illusory energy is distinct from the spiritual energy, it is one of the many energies of the Lord, and thus the material modes of nature, the mode of goodness, etc., are surely qualities of the Lord. The energy and the energetic personality of Godhead are not different. And although such energy is one with the Lord, he is never overpowered by it. Although the living entities are also parts and parcel of the Lord, they are overcome by the material energy. The inconceivable yogam Aishwaram of the Lord, as mentioned in Bhagavad Gita 3.9.5, is misunderstood by the froggish philosophers. In order to support a theory that Narayana, the Lord himself, becomes a Daridra Narayana, a poor man, they propose that the material energy overcomes the Supreme Lord. Srila Jiva Goswami and Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakura, however, offer a very nice example in explanation. They say that although the sun is all light, the clouds, darkness, and snowfall are all parcel of the sun. Without the sun, there is no possibility of the skies being overcast with clouds or darkness, nor can there be snowfall on the earth. Although life is sustained by the sun, life is also disturbed by darkness and snowfall produced by the sun. But it is also a fact that the sun itself is never overcome by darkness, clouds, or snowfall. The sun is far, far away from such disturbances. Only those who have a poor fund of knowledge say that the sun is covered by a cloud or by darkness. Similarly, the Supreme Brahman or the Parabrahma, the personality of Godhead, is always unaffected by the influence of the material energy, although it is one of his energies. Parasya Saktir Vividhaiva Sruyate.
There is no reason to assert that the Supreme Brahman is overpowered by the illusory energy. The clouds, darkness, and snowfall can cover only a very insignificant portion of the sun's rays. Similarly, the modes of material nature may react upon the ray like living entities. It is the misfortune of the living entity, certainly not without a reason, that the influence of the material energy acts on his pure consciousness and eternal bliss. This covering up of pure consciousness and eternal bliss is due to avidya karma samjna, the energy which acts on the infinitesimal living entities who misuse their minute independence. According to Vishnu Purana, Bhagavad Gita, and all other Vedic literatures, The living entities are generated from the Tatastha energy of the Lord, and thus they are always like the energy of the Lord and are not energetic. The living entities are like the sun's rays. Although, as explained above, there is no qualitative difference between the sun and its rays, the sun's rays are sometimes overpowered by another energy of the sun, namely by clouds or by snowfall. Similarly, although the living entities are qualitatively one with the superior energy of the Lord, they have the tendency to be overpowered by the inferior material energy. In the Vedic hymns, it is said that the living entities are like the sparks of a fire. The sparks of fire also are fire, but the burning potency of the sparks is different from that of the original fire. When the sparks fly out of touch with the original fire, they come under the influence of a non-fiery atmosphere. Thus, they maintain the potency to be again one with the fire as sparks, but not as the original fire. The sparks can everlastingly remain within the original fire as its parts and parcels. But the moment the sparks become separated from the original fire, their misfortunes and miseries begin. The clear conclusion is that the Supreme Lord, who is the original fire, is never overpowered, but the infinitesimal sparks of the fire can become overpowered by the illusory effect of Maya. It is a most ludicrous argument to say that the Supreme Lord is overpowered by his own material energy. The Lord is the master of the material energy, but the living entities are in the conditioned state controlled by the material energy. That is the version of Bhagavad Gita. The froggish philosophers who put forward the argument that the Supreme Lord is overpowered by the material mode of goodness are themselves illusioned by the same material energy, although they think of themselves as liberated souls. They support their arguments by a false and laborious jugglery of words, which is a gift of the same illusory energy of the Lord. But the poor froggish philosophers, due to a false sense of knowledge, cannot understand the situation. In the 6th canto, 9th chapter, 34th verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, it is stated, Durava bhado iva tavayam vihara yogo yada sarango sarira idam anaveksitatma samavaya atmanaiva vikriyamanena sagunam aguna srujasi pasi harasi. Thus, the demigods prayed to the Supreme Lord that although his activities are very difficult to understand, they can still be understood to some extent by those who sincerely engage in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. The demigods admitted that although the Lord is apart from the material influence or creation, he nevertheless creates, maintains, and annihilates the complete cosmic manifestation by the agency of the demigods.
Canto 3, Chapter 7, Text 10. Yad artena vinamusya pumsha atma viparyayah pratiyata upadrashtuhu swashirsha chetanadikaha. Yat, thus, arthena, a purpose or meaning, vina, without, amushya, of such a one, pumshaha, of the living entity, atma viparyayaha, upset about self-identification, pratiyate, so appear, drashtuhu, of the superficial onlooker, swashiraha, own head, chedana adikaha, cutting off. Translation: the living entity is in distress regarding his self-identity. He has no factual background, like a man who dreams that he sees his head cut off. Purport: a teacher in school once threatened his pupil that he would cut off the pupil's head and hang it on the wall so that the child could see how his head has been cut off. The child became frightened and stopped his mischief. Similarly, the miseries of the pure soul and the disruption of his self-identification are managed by the external energy of the Lord, which controls those mischievous living entities who want to go against the will of the Lord. Actually, there is no bondage or misery for the living entity, nor does he ever lose his pure knowledge. In his pure consciousness, when he thinks a little seriously about his position, he can understand that he is eternally subordinate to the mercy of the Supreme, and that his attempt to become one with the Supreme Lord is a false illusion and become the Lord of the material world, but there is no tangible result. At last, when frustrated, he gives up his material. Life after life, the living entity falsely tries to lord it over material nature and become the lord of the material world, but there is no tangible result. At last, when frustrated, he gives up his material activities and tries to become one with the Lord and speculate with much jugglery of words, but without success. These activities are performed under the dictation of the illusory energy. The experience is compared to the experience of one's having his head cut off in a dream. The man whose head has been cut off also sees that his head has been cut off. If a person's head is severed, he loses his power to see. Therefore, if a man sees that his head has been cut off, it means that he thinks like that in hallucination. Similarly, a living entity is eternally subordinate to the Supreme Lord, and he has this knowledge with him. But artificially, he thinks that he is God himself, and that although he is God, he has lost his knowledge due to Maya. This conception has no meaning, just as there is no meaning to seeing one's head being cut off. This is the process by which knowledge is covered. And because this artificial rebellious condition of the living entity gives him all troubles, it is to be understood that he should take to his normal life as a devotee of the Lord and be relieved from the misconception of being God. The so-called liberation of thinking oneself God is that last reaction of avidya by which the living entity is entrapped. The conclusion is that a living entity deprived of external transcendental service to the Lord becomes illusioned in many ways. Even in his conditioned life, he is the eternal servant of the Lord. His servitude under the spell of illusory Maya is also a manifestation of his eternal condition of service. Because he has rebelled against the service of the Lord, he is therefore put in the service of the Maya. He is still serving, but in a perverted manner. When he wants to get out of service under material bondage, he next desires to become one with the Lord. This is another illusion. The best course, therefore, is to surrender unto the Lord and thus get rid of the illusory Maya for good, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 7.14. Daiviyesha gunamayi mama maya duratyaya mam eva ye prapadyante mayam etam tarantite.
Srimad Bhagavatam 3.7.11 Yatha jale chandramasa kampadistata krito guna driyate san api drustar atmamano natmano guna. Yatha, as jail in the water, jale in the water, chandramasa of the moon, kampa adi quivering, tat krita done by the water, guna quality, druyate drishyate it is so seen, asan api without existence, drusta of the seer, atmana of the self, anatmana of the other than the self, guna quality. Translation: as the moon reflected on water appears to be seer, to tremble due to being associated with the quality of the water, so the self associated with matter appears to be qualified as matter. Purport: The Supreme Soul, the personality of Godhead, is compared to the moon in the sky, and the living entity are compared to the reflection of the moon on water. The moon in the sky is fixed and does not appear to quiver like the moon on the water. Actually, like the original moon in the sky, the moon reflected on the water should also not quiver. But because of being associated with water, the reflection appears to be quivering. Although in actual fact the moon is fixed, the water moves but the moon does not move. Similarly, the living entities appear to be tainted by material qualities like illusion, lamentation, and miseries, although in the pure soul, such qualities are completely absent. The word pratiyate, which means apparently and not actually, like the experience of having one's head cut off in a dream, is significant here. The reflection of the moon on the water is separated rays of the moon, not the actual moon. The separated parts and parcels of the Lord entangled in the water of material existence, having the quivering quality, whereas the Lord is like the actual moon in the sky, which is not at all in touch with water. The light of the sun and moon reflected on matter makes the matter bright and praiseworthy. The living symptoms are compared to the light of the sun and the moon illuminating material manifestations like trees and mountains. The reflection of the sun or moon is accepted as the real sun or moon by less intelligent men, and the pure monistic philosophy develops from these ideas. In fact, the light of the sun and the moon are actually different from the moon and moon themselves, although they are always connected. The light of the moon spread throughout the sky appears to be impersonal, but the moon planet as it is personal, and the living entities on the moon planet are also personal. In the rays of the moon, different material entities appear to be comparatively more or less important. The light of the moon on the Taj Mahal appears to be more beautiful than the same light in the wilderness. Although the light of the moon is the same everywhere due to being differently appreciated, it appears different. Similarly, the light of the Lord is equally distributed everywhere, but due to being differently received, it appears to be different. One should not therefore accept the reflection of the moon on the water as actual and misunderstand the whole situation through monistic philosophy. The quivering quality of the moon is also variable. When the water is standing still, there is no quivering. A more settled conditioned soul quivers less, but due to material connection, the quivering quality is more or less present everywhere.
Text 12. Savai nivritti dharmena vasudevanu kampaya bhagavad bhakti yogena tirudate sanairiha. Sa, that, vai, also, nivritti, detachment, dharmena, by engagement, Vasudeva, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Anukampaya, by the mercy of Bhagavat, in relation with the Personality of Godhead, Bhakti Yogena, by linking up, Tirodate, diminished, Sane, Iha, in this existence. Translation. But that misconception of self-identity can be diminished gradually by the mercy of the Personality of Godhead, Vasudeva, through the process of devotional service to the Lord in the mode of detachment. Purport.
The quivering quality of material existence, which comes from identification with matter or from thinking oneself under the material influence of philosophical speculation to be God, can be eradicated by devotional service to the Lord by the mercy of personality of Godhead Vasudeva, as discussed in the first canto, because the application of devotional service to Vasudeva invites pure knowledge. It quickly detaches one from the material conception of life and thus revives one's normal condition of spiritual existence even in this life, and frees one from the material winds which cause one to quiver. Only knowledge and devotional service can elevate one towards the path of liberation. The development of knowledge for the purpose of knowing everything without rendering devotional service is considered fruitless labor, and one cannot get the desired result by such labor of love. Lord Vasudeva is pleased by devotional service only, and thus his mercy is realized by association with pure devotees of the Lord. Pure devotees of the Lord are transcendental to all material desires, including the desire for the results of fruitive activities and philosophical speculation. If one wants to acquire the mercy of the Lord, he has to associate with pure devotees. Such association alone can, by degrees, release one from the quivering elements. यदेन्द्रियोपरामोत द्रष्टात्मानि परे हरौ विलयन्ते तदा क्लेशा संसुप्तस्य यवेकृष्णस्य. Yada, when indriya, senses, uparama, satiated, ata, thus, drishtir, atmani, unto the seer, the super soul, pare, in the transcendence, haro, unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, viliyante, become merged in, tada, at that time, klesha, miseries, samsuptasya, one who has enjoyed sound sleep, iva, like, krishnasha, completely. Translation. When the senses are satisfied in the seer super soul, the personality of Godhead, and merge in him, all miseries are completely vanquished, as after a sound sleep. Purport. The quivering of the living entities described above is due to the senses. Since the entire material existence is meant for sense gratification, senses are the medium of material activities, and they cause the quivering of the steady soul. Therefore, these senses are to be detached from all material activities. According to the impersonalists, the senses are stopped from working by merging the soul into the super soul Brahman. The devotees, however, do not stop their material senses from acting, but they engage their transcendental senses in the service of the transcendence, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In either case, the activities of the senses in the material field are to be stopped by cultivation of knowledge, and if possible, they can be engaged in the service of the Lord. The senses are transcendental in nature, but their activities become polluted when contaminated by matter. We have to treat the senses to cure them of the material disease, to stop them from acting. Not stop them from acting, as suggested by the impersonalists. In Bhagavad Gita 2.59, it is said that one who ceases all material activities only when satisfied by contact with a better engagement. Consciousness is active by nature and cannot be stopped from working. Artificially stopping a mischievous child is not the real remedy. A child must be given some better engagement so that he will automatically stop causing mischief. In the same way, the mischievous activities of the senses can be stopped only by the better engagement in relation with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When the eyes are engaged in seeing the beautiful form of the Lord, the tongue engaged in tasting prasada, the remnants of foodstuff offered to the Lord,
The ears are engaged in hearing his glories, the hands engaged in cleaning the temple of the Lord, the legs engaged in visiting his temples, or when all the senses are engaged in transcendental variegatedness, then only can the transcendental senses become satiated and eternally free from material engagement. The Lord, as the super soul residing in everyone's heart, and as the supreme personality of Godhead in the transcendental world, far beyond the material creation, is the seer of all activities. Our activities must be so transcendentally saturated that the Lord will be kind enough to look upon us favorably and engage us in His transcendental service. Then only can the senses be satisfied completely and be no longer troubled by material attraction.
Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 7, Text 14. Asesha Sanklesha Samam Vidhate Gunanuvada Sravanam Murare Kim va punah satcharanavinda paraga seva rathir atma labdha. Asesha, unlimited. Sanklesha, miserable conditions. Samam, cessation. Vidhate, can perform. Guna anuvada of the transcendental name. Form, qualities, pastimes, entourage, paraphernalia, etc. Sravanam, hearing and chanting. Murare of Murari, Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead. Kimva, what to speak of. Punaha, again. Tad, his. Charanaravinda, lotus feet. Paraga Sheva, to the service of the flavorful dust. Ratihi, attraction. Atma Labdhaha, those who have gained such self-achievement. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Simply by chanting and hearing of the transcendental name, form, etc. of the personality of Godhead Sri Krishna one can achieve the cessation of unlimited miserable condition. Therefore, what to speak of those who have attained attraction for serving the flavor of the dust of the Lord's flawless feet. Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Two different methods for controlling the material senses are recommended in the Vedic scriptural wisdom. One of them is the process of jnana, or the path of philosophical understanding of the Supreme Brahma, Paramatma and Bhagavan. The other is that of direct engagement in the transcendental loving devotional service of the Lord. Of these two most popular methods, the path of devotional service is recommended here as the best, because one of the path of devotional service does not have to wait for the attainment of the fruitful results of pious activities or for the results of the knowledge. The two stages of executing devotional service are first the stage of practicing devotional service with our present senses under the regulations of the recognized scriptures, and second, attaining sincere attachment for serving the practice particles of the dust of the lotus feet of the Lord. The first stage is called sadhana sakti, or devotional service for the neophyte, which is rendered under the direction of a pure devotee, and the second stage is called a raga bhakti, in which the mature devotee automatically takes to the various service of the Lord out of sincere attachment. The great sage Maitreya now gives the final answer to all the questions of Vidura. Devotional service to the Lord is the ultimate means to mitigate all the miserable conditions of material material existence. The path of knowledge, or that of mystic gymnastics, may be adopted as a means for the purpose, but unless mixed with bhakti or devotional service, they are unable to award the desired result. By practicing sadhana bhakti, one may gradually rise to the point of raga bhakti, and by performing raga bhakti in loving devotional transcendental service, one can even control the supreme powerful Godhead.
Srimad Bhagavatam 3.7.15. Vidura vacha sanchina samsayo mahyam tava sukta sina vibho ubhayatrapi bhagavan mano me sampradhavanti davati. Vidura vacha, Vidura said, sanchina, cut off, samsaya, doubts, mayam, unto me, tava, your, sukta asina, by the weapon of convincing words, vibho, O my Lord, ubhayatra api, both in God and in the living entity, Bhagavan, O powerful one, mana, mind, me, my, sampradhavati, perfectly entering. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Vidura said, O powerful sage, my lord, all my doubts about the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the living entities have now been removed by your convincing words. My mind is now perfectly entering into them. Purport. The signs of Krishna and or the signs of God and the living entities is so subtle that even a personality like Vidura has to consult persons like the sage Maitreya. Doubts about the eternal relationship of the Lord and the living entity are created by mental speculators in different ways. But the conclusive fact is that the relationship of the God and the living entity is one of the predominator and the predominated. The Lord is the eternal predominator and the living entities are eternally predominated. Real knowledge of this relationship entails reviving the lost consciousness to this standard. And the process for such revival is devotional service to the Lord. By clearly understanding from authorities like the sage Maitreya, one can become situated in real knowledge, and the disturbed mind can thus be fixed on the progressive path.
Text 16. साद्वेतद्व्याहृतं विद्वान् नात्मा मायायनं हरे अभयति अपर्था निर्मूलं vishwamulam na yad bahihi. Sadhu, as good as it should be. Etat, all these explanations. Vyahritam, thus spoken. Vidwan, O learned one. Na, not. Atma, the self. Maya, energy. Ayanam, movement. Hare, of the personality of Godhead. Abhati, appears. Apartham, without meaning. Nirmulam, without basis. Vishwamulam, the origin in this is the supreme. Na, not. Yat, which. Bahih, outside. Translation. O learned sage, your explanations are very good, as they should be. Disturbances to the conditioned soul have no other basis than the movement of the external energy of the Lord. Purport. A living entity's unlawful desire to become one with the Lord in every respect is the root cause of the entire material manifestation. For otherwise, the Lord has no need to create such a manifestation, even for his pastimes. The conditioned soul, under the spell of the external energy of the Lord, falsely suffers many unfortunate incidents in material life. The Lord is the predominator of the external energy, Maya, whereas the living entity is predominated by the same Maya under the material condition. The false attempt of the living entity to occupy the predominating post of the Lord is the cause of his material bondage, and the conditioned soul's attempt to become one with the Lord is the last snare of Maya.
Text 17. Yashamudratamo loke yashabhude param gata tav